It's 12 midday here on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the news. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Coming up this afternoon, chaotic scenes in Parliament over vacant Midday seats reignite calls for enforcement of standing orders against unruly behavior. Also in the bulletin, the Minority Caucus says it will trigger processes. Majority Caucus says it will trigger processes to refer members of the minority who attempted to disrupt proceedings to the Privileges Committee for violating the standing orders of Parliament. Later on in the bulletin, we tell you why the Supreme Court has dismissed an application by embattled former CEO of defunct Men's Gold, Hammoah, seeking to halt his ongoing criminal trial. Details of these and more, stay with us. Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin the bulletin from here. The minority in Parliament says it will continue to frustrate government business in the chamber until the Speaker directs the clerk to withdraw a notice sent to the Electoral Commission declaring the Midday seat vacant. Proceedings on the floor of the House on Tuesday were disrupted for hours with chaotic scenes and near fisticuffs between MPs. The chaos erupted as the minority protested what it describes as an unlawful attempt to trigger a by-election in Midday constituency. Question Yale recount Tuesday's event.
It all started when the minority chief whip, Frank Anodompreh, asked the clerk to recall his notice to the Electoral Commission.
That letter declaring the Midday seat vacant must be recalled immediately. It must be recalled immediately. It cannot be.
The NPP MPs chanted until the House was suspended for hours. When they resumed, Speaker Bagbin invited the majority leader to brief him, but they would not allow him to speak, prompting another long suspension. The heckling continued after a meeting between leadership, but that would not stop the majority side from proceeding with business.
They are wearing face masks. They don't want Ghanaians to identify them. If you are ashamed of what you are doing, remove your face mask. I will let the Ghanaians know that you are only pretending to be Democrats. You are not Democrats.
The chaos degenerated into a worse spectacle. Minority MPs attempted a crossover.
For the year
2026, I so move. Thank you.
Speaker Bagbin deferred his ruling on the matter.
I believe the office of the official reports would have captured what the majority leader commented upon. I will have to, in the circumstances that we are in today, have access to what has been captured by the official reports, and I'll come to the House to give a ruling in this matter.
Minority MPs insist they will not cooperate if the decision is not reversed.
We filed those processes at the High Court to stay execution. We applied to Court of Appeal for a review of the decision. Subsequently, we filed the process at the Supreme Court on other writs of certiorari to quash the decision of the court. And so clearly, everything that has to be done to keep the process going has been filed. How come 2 weeks down the line, even the courts have not initiated the processes to hear the matter?
For as long as Mr. Speaker has been pressurized to renege on his earlier ruling, cooperation will be withdrawn until that assurance is given that that letter is not genuine.
The mace is the symbol of authority to Parliament. So when it is out of where it is, that means that there's no authority of Parliament. And anything that has happened is illegal. It has never happened from 1992.
For us on the minority side, we are going to ensure a sustained resistance to this oppressor's rule. We will not fight. We will not throw blows. We will not beat anybody. I can assure you, it is not ending today.
But the question then is, to what extent are they going to go with this? even in the midst of the chaotic scenes, the majority side was still ongoing with the conduct of government business by approving the estimate. And so it leaves that question as to whether their protest, if they should continue this way, would have any biting impact on the conduct of business in the House. Yet another distasteful scene in Parliament, one that is condemned, but the questions remain when the Speaker would be seen cracking the whip to deter his members. Christian Yalit, Parliament.
And here in the studio, my name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Meanwhile, the majority caucus says it will begin processes to refer members of the minority to the Privileges Committee for violating the standing orders of Parliament. Majority Chief Whip Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo described the conduct of the NPP MPs as shameful. And speaking on 3FM Sunrise, he stressed action will be taken against the MPs. Still on the Kpandarin run, the Majority Chief Whip says the NDC have filed contempt charges against the Electoral Commission for its refusal to announce the dates for the election. Roxy Dafiamepo says the failure of the Commission to announce the dates for the election constitute an act of connivance with the NPP. And in the aftermath of the disturbances, the Speaker of Parliament is under increasing pressure to crack the whip on MPs whose conduct led to the chaos. Analysts say decisive sanctions are necessary to restore discipline and protect the dignity of the House. Professor David Abdullah is senior advisor for the African Parliamentary Network.
It's very sad that our legislature is brought down to this kind of behavior. We have to understand, like, anytime you are in a leadership position, it's a privilege to serve your country. And if the minority really does not support what is happening or the rerun of the elections in Pandai, they have better ways of expressing their displeasure than to try to stop the business of Parliament. The last time I heard the Speaker said he was going to crack his whip, and I did mention that speaking about cracking the whip is not enough. You must crack the whip. You must make examples of a few of those parliamentarians who are rowdy and do not understand that the business of a parliament is not about being rowdy. It's not the street. If he doesn't do that, it is going to continue, and it's going to continue. And at the end of the day, it is Ghana that suffers. It is our legislative process that suffers.
Professor David Abdullah is a senior member with the Africa Parliamentary Network. Let's go live to the House where our correspondent Christian Yale is standing by. Question: after yesterday's chaotic scenes, all eyes are on today's proceedings. What is the atmosphere like in the chamber this morning, and has Parliament been able to settle down after yesterday's disruptions?
Yes, certainly. It is a very calm atmosphere here when you get to the presence of Parliament, especially in the chamber. I just exited when you called me, and inside the MPs are already beginning to file into the chamber to prepare themselves for sitting, which would commence very shortly, any moment from now. I also see that there are some measures in terms of communication. I see, over the period, over the weeks, Parliament has been using the robotic cameras. I see that today they've brought back the manual cameras, and there are instructions for all cameramen to be given talk backs so that they are able to hear certain instructions from the control room. And so it gives you that understanding that some measures have been taken, and the understanding we even have from earlier conversations with some of the leadership indicates that in conclave today, they are going to consider this matter and would even consider the report on the ministerial vetting chaos, which was advertised several times during the last sitting and was not taken. This has prompted that urgent need for them to look at that. And so all is said, just like you put it, all eyes should be on the chamber this afternoon, right when proceedings begin. Great.
Christian, then that tells me that proceedings has not begun, and so there have been no comments from any of the sides on what happened yesterday.
Not yet. But just like I gave a hint, we here at 3FM earlier even engaged the Majority Chief Whip, Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo, on the Sunrise show, who indicated that there are video evidence of some of the MPs. He mentions, for instance, John Intim Fojo of Asen South, who was seen in some videos yesterday throwing some papers towards the direction of the speaker. And there are other incidents like that. He indicated that indeed they have taken inventory of all of those video evidence. So what it means is that if anything is to be done for speaker to crack the whip, there is enough evidence to deal with some of these situations. And so currently I see that the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompreh, who started this whole issue yesterday, is already seated in the chamber, and just means that very shortly proceedings would commence. We also expect that the speaker would probably, after reviewing all that happened yesterday, would give his direction on this particular matter, whether he's going to affirm the clerk's letter to the Electoral Commission or would communicate otherwise.
Christian, we know that because of the Christmas festivities and the fact that people are going to do a lot of shopping and already traffic is building up, the Transport Ministry has something up their sleeves. Talk to us briefly about that.
Exactly. So the Minister, Joseph Bukari-Nikpe, has just announced to us that the ministry, in conjunction with STC, beginning today, would deploy 8 buses each on 4 major corridors in Accra, i.e. Accra Madina Adenta, that is 1, Accra Achimota Masaman 2, Accra Malam, Kaswa Malam, that is also 3, and then Accra Temabichud 4. On these 4 major corridors, each of them is going to get at least 8 buses that would convey commuters from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and they are going to charge the same fares as have been approved by the operators. And so that is going to begin today. This is coming on the back of complaints that many people get locked up at terminals and transport drivers take advantage of this to seek to exploit them or charge higher rates of the fares. And so it has become an urgent measure that the government is taking. Great.
So, Christian, 32 buses for 4 corridors, each corridor receiving 8. That is, if that's correct.
Yeah, that is true.
Right.
So each corridor, each of the 4 is receiving 8, which means the 32, yes. Just like you put it.
Right. Thank you for the updates. Christian Yale, my colleague in Parliament, bringing us up to speed on happenings there. Let's just stay in Parliament now and speak to Nehemiah Atega, his principal lead with Parliamentary Monitoring Group, ODICRO. Mr. Atega, we're glad you made time to talk to us this afternoon. We're working the phone to connect with Nehemiah Atega, Principal Lead with the Parliamentary Monitoring Group, ODICRO. When we are able to connect with him, we'll bring you the details of what they also make about what happened in the House yesterday, the fact that the majority wanted to cross to the other side and pick the maize, what it means for the parliamentary maize to be removed, as well as calls for the Speaker of Parliament to also crack the whip and make sure that unruly behavior is treated or dealt with. We'll bring you details of that. Mr. Atega is still on the line. Let's quickly speak to him and then we can continue the bulletin. Sir, thank you for making time to talk to us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Let me quickly take your reaction to what happened in the House yesterday. This, in fact, is not the first time something like this is happening, even in this year.
So, for us as Ghanaians, we expect that the values of our democratic institutions, and if you look at what happened, it borders on the credibility of our electoral process and the respect for court rulings, and even the integrity of our parliamentary procedure. And so, for us as ODICRO, we believe that we have to insist on equality and fairness and adherence to rule of law. Because think about it, democracy is not merely about winning, but it's about respecting the rules that give meaning to the representation and accountability. And that's something that we cannot take for granted. And so the legislature should be an institution that upholds that to a large extent. So whilst we're disappointed, I think the minority believes that their actions would give them justice, and that's why we need to do it.
The removal of the maize, parliamentary maize, what does that mean to proceedings in the House? How dire would it have been if the minority were able to remove the maize from its position? Mr. Tiga, I am losing you. If you could reposition yourself for me so I can clearly hear you.
Is it better now?
Okay, let's see.
Is it better?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay, so that is a symbol of authority, or that depicts what Parliament stands for. And so it's almost like how filmmakers go to the National Broadcasting or House to go and make a declaration. And so once they have voted,
Mr. Tiga, I'm sorry, but we are not able to clearly hear you. We'll connect with you subsequently on the bulletin. Nehemiah Tiga is principal lead with Parliamentary Monitoring Group, Odikro, talking to us about the incident in Parliament yesterday, what it means to the integrity of Parliament, Ghana's electoral process, and as well as the country's democratic credentials. This is the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Let's take that break. We'll come back quickly.
92.7 3FM. 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 92.7 92.7 3FM.
Welcome back. This is the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Thank you for staying with us. Let's do some other stories now. The government of Ghana said it will summon officials of the Israeli embassy in Accra following what it calls the inhumane and unjustified treatment of Ghanaian travelers, including 4 members of parliament at Israel's Ben Gurion International Airport. According to a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 7 Ghanaians were detained in arrival on Tel Aviv on Sunday, December 7, without cause. 4 MPs who were part of a delegation attending an international cybersecurity conference were held for more than 5 hours and released only after what the ministry described as strenuous diplomatic intervention. The remaining 3 travelers were deported and have since returned to Ghana. The ministry condemned the incident, describing it as a deliberate targeting of Ghanaians and extremely provocative, insisting it undermines the long-standing relations between the 2 countries. It also rejected Israel's claim that Ghana's embassy failed to cooperate with deportation procedures, calling the allegation untenable. Government says it is considering appropriate reciprocal measures if Israel fails to satisfactorily address the matter. And the Supreme Court has dismissed an application by the Nana Apia Mensah, also known as NAM1, seeking to overturn earlier decisions of the High Court and the Court of Appeal in its ongoing criminal trial. NAM1 has asked the appellate court to hold the trial after the High Court ordered him in 2024 to open his defense on multiple charges, including selling gold without a license, fraudulent breach of trust, defrauding by false pretenses, and money laundering. Both the High Court and the Court of Appeal rejected his request for a stay of proceedings. On May 19, 2025, state prosecutors argued that the stay application sought to overreach the court's authority and did not present any exceptional grounds. NAM1 then took the matter to the Supreme Court. A short while ago, the Apex Court dismissed his challenge and affirmed that he must proceed to open his defense as previously ordered. Meanwhile, Frederick Forsing, spokesperson for the aggrieved men's gold customers, welcomed the Supreme Court decision, describing it as a step towards justice.
For us, right from day one, we believe the Attorney General had a good case. And so after the prima facie case was determined, we were very positive that the trial was going to go on smoothly. However, when the prima facie case was determined, number one challenged the ruling of the court at the Court of Appeal, and that was refused. And satisfied with the ruling from the Court of Appeal, he went further to the Supreme Court here. And we've been here for the past almost 1 year, and today the law lords have refused his application because he sought the court to give him a special leave so that they will halt the trial at the High Court. But today the court said no. And so what it means, our understanding is that the trial at the High Court can continue. And so today we also told that they will file their reasons on the 17th of this month. We shall go back to the High Court as was determined the last time on the 16th of this month, which is next week. So we are very happy and we appreciate what the court has done. Just that it has kept long.
Do you get the sense that his appeal on the decision of the Court of Appeal has been decided upon, or is just an application to stay proceedings as matters go on at the Supreme Court that has been decided?
From our understanding, I think he filed 2 applications. One of them was the former appeal. I think what he brought here was that he wanted the court to stay pending appeal, and the High Court refused it. Then he went to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal also refused it.
Fred Forsing is spokesperson for the aggrieved men's gold customers. Let's to stay in the court. The Supreme Court has set January 14, 2026 to rule on a review application by the Deputy Attorney General regarding portions of its earlier decision in the case of former Signals Bureau Director Kwabena Edubuahin and his wife Angela Agyemang. The Apex Court earlier dismissed an application by Edubuahin seeking to prohibit the trial judge from further hearing the case. And away from that, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, is raising strong objections to the Hammoah lithium mining agreement, urging Parliament and government to halt its ratification. The policy think tank argues that the deal in its current form places Ghana at a disadvantage and must be reevaluated in the national interest. There's more in this report. The call comes as the majority in Parliament argues that the 10% royalty rate secured by the Akufo-Addo administration with Barari DV Ghana Limited breaches the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2010, which stipulates a 5% royalty for such concessions. IEA Board Chairman Dr. Charles Mensah says any ratification will give away the country's strategic mineral wealth for far less than its true value.
Parliament must therefore halt the ratification of the revised lithium agreement between Ghana and Barari currently before Parliament. Again, I will state it is not in our interest, not in our economic interest, not in our national security interests. This is a critical mineral. It's not like gold, it's rare earth, they call it. You don't find it in every country. If you find it, you have to protect it. For our national security reasons, I think the government should halt this, not renew it.
Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okwe, called for an immediate shift from the royalties paradigm to equitable benefits.
They are also talking about royalties. Oh, in our law is 10%, but it is 5% limit, upper limit. Why at all should we fix an upper limit for any mineral? That law must be thrown out of the window in Parliament under a bill, a certificate of urgency. A certificate of urgency should come immediately and throw it out.
Representing quarters and diverting its natural course. The operation resulted in the confiscating of 8 water pumping machines and the destruction of several pieces of mining equipment used in the illicit activity.
A well-established group of illegal miners actively scavenging the river source. The miners had diverted the river's natural course, leaving the surrounding land severely degraded. Extensive forest destruction and uncontrolled excavation had virtually wiped out the river's natural origin.
I'm so worried about this Butray River because I was born and bred in this village, and I know how Butray is. And right now, looking at the surrounding, we are here to see that if even it is flowing, if it's flowing, then fine. But right now, we came to meet that all the gamixias and everything, they are all around. You look at the machines that we pick. Everything has sent upside down. Look at the Butray River. We can't use it for anything.
The illegal miners fled upon arrival of the task force, leaving behind their mining equipment, including 8 water pumping machines that were seized and other mining tools destroyed. The Butray River, a crucial water source for several communities in the western region, has become heavily polluted and unsafe. Concerned by the devastation, the police has announced a renewed crackdown on Galamsey, warning that the assembly will shut down any environmental harmful operations and sustain the fight until the district is free from illegal mining.
I'm begging them, those people that give lands to the Galamseyers, the farmers, some of them, they are, you should know that we have various chiefs, sub-chiefs, and so they give the lands to the Galamseyers. So I'm urging all of them to stop, because it's not going to help us. It's not going to help the community. And those who have the farmland, we are pleading with them that they shouldn't give it to the Galamseyers. And those who have the farm, plantation farm, you have rubber, you have that's farm, those people that have various farms. If you see anybody, a Galamseyer or whatever, destroying your land, you should let us know. Come to the assembly or report to the nearest police station. Then we will come to your aid.
Illegal mining is a threat to everybody. The earlier we act, the better for all of us. That's it for the midday news on 3FM 92.7. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Michael Ogbedu is standing by to bring us the latest in the world of business. Good afternoon.
FM.
billion.
Stressed that there is a need to identify through competitive bidding a consortium of Ghanaian contract miners, including African Mining Services, BCM Ghana Limited, Engineers and Planners, Quantum LC Limited, Rockshore International, Underground Mining Alliance, etc. to mine and manage the lithium under a service contract for Ghana. The IEA believes there can be no better time for Ghana to own its lithium wealth with a view to leveraging it for industrial transformation.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, financial and tax analyst Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji has made a projection of a significant reduction in Ghana's monetary policy rate, which is in line with earlier forecast from Fitch Solutions. Mr. Kwagbeji anticipates a substantial 350 basis points cut by the Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee as its upcoming meeting in January 2026. This decisive move would see the policy rate drop from 18% to about 14.5% to spare job creation. Kwagbeji's expectation is primarily fueled by the sustained improvements in key macroeconomic indicators.
We will align perfectly with the position and projections taken by Fitch Solutions. This is because for the month of November, inflation was at 6.3%. Policy rate was at 18%. The Ghana reference rate for the month of December is around 15.93%, and lending rate hovers around 21 to 22% on average. Clearly, there is a huge gap between inflation and policy rate. During the next Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana, we still expect the rate to be cut down by some 350 basis points to 14.50%. And once this is done, we expect lending rates to come down, which will mean credit expansion to the private sector, which needs the chief source of funds for growth and sustainable job creation.
You hear the tax and financial analyst Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji speaking there. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority is reaching out directly to market traders and businesses, presenting its modified tax scheme as a solution to simplify taxation across the country. During an engagement at the Agyemang market, officers from the GRA highlighted the authority's commitment to easing the burden of compliance.
Deputy Commissioner for Communication and Public Affairs, Florence Asante, explained to the market community that the modified tax scheme's purpose is to make the entire tax process simple for all taxpayers. The Deputy Commissioner stressed the necessity for the GRA to ramp up tax compliance nationwide, but affirmed that this initiative will be pursued with a human face.
Government has listened to them. We have introduced called the modified taxation scheme. This modified taxation scheme is supposed to make taxation simple, very easy, very efficient for everybody who is required to pay taxes to be able to pay their taxes well.
Head of the Taxpayer Services Center at Agyemang, Odai, confirmed that GRA's strategy of leveraging technology in its operations is already producing positive results.
These people, in their numbers, even though their taxes are small, the numbers will bring in very good revenue to the state. Now people are ready. They say, oh, if you have made the tax system so simple that we'll sit in our shops and make the payments, they are willing to register, and we have started the process, and some we have registered and they have started paying.
A trader at the Agyemang market, Amina Draman, stepped forward to encourage her fellow individuals and businesses to fulfill their civic duty by paying their taxes.
Na first ni enima dey free tax asichire by ende omo ba ye omo be chire ye say utua tax a etimi utumpo.
We did not understand what tax was for, but today we have learned that tax is for national development.
And every market woman must pay tax to help our country.
The authorities' sustained tax education program STEP, that is expected to commence in January 2026, is aimed at ensuring 90% of Ghanaians are tax compliant after 3 years of its commencement.
And that's how we end today's edition of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ubudu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe.